Oh, hello.
Good evening.
Ah,
Thank you all for joining us after we took last week off. We didn't actually take last week off, but we took last week off from this.
yeah. It was
So,
still me running somewhere else
right. We still
with,
had to be in face and we still had to do things to
yeah.
get here.
Anyway, um, welcome to Let's Have a Fifi. This is season 11, episode 15, and it is February 1st. For more than 10
That holds no
years.
significance for me whatsoever.
Happy Black History Month.
Oh, thank
I've
you. Thank you so much.
I've been Black for 365 for the last 38, almost 39 years. So, whoop. um,
And yet you
for
still want another month. Like, oh my God.
can we get a longer month? Can we like get March or something? I don't know. Can
No.
we go
You
into
get the
two
shortest month. That's all
months?
you get.
Shit. For more than 10 years, we have been your Wednesday night conversation, and tonight you might hear mumblings and rumblings of my household because that is what we do here. Even though we've been doing this show for longer than some of the people have been alive in my house. Um, so this is nothing new. I just go with the flow, and uh, it's my world. I live in this world in here, and they live out there, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. I'm Felicia Fefe Minor. And again, happy Black History Month.
Thank you so much.
Um,
Yeah, and I'm still Freddy. Still Freddy. Just hanging out
oh,
over here in my nice quiet drag cave. Where
I
even
mean,
if there
even
was
when you
like
were in, okay, so even when you were in the house, your kids were, and partner were very considerate of the time, the
that's because they
space.
know better.
I guess I'm not training my animals very well.
Do better with your pets, Felicia. Do better with your pets.
Speaking of pets, you can get exclusive content from us on our Patreon at patreon.com/ let's have a Fifi. I don't know where my stuff is. Oh, there it is. I was like, anyway, we'd like to thank our patrons Brandon, D, Drake Jensen, Casey Starr, Carrie and Corey, Kim, Joan, Leanne, Nicole, and Shannon. Yes. We appreciate every nickel, dime, whatever you decide
Absolutely.
is appropriate to give us. We accept pennies, coins, pesos. Um, I don't know any
Traveler's
other
checks. I'll take traveler's checks. I'm not mad about traveler's checks.
pounds.
Money orders. As
Not
long as the
pounds
funds
as
are
in
verifiable. As long
here,
as the
but
funds are
pounds as in
verifiable.
spendables. Yes. And if you want to do that, you can go to our PayPal. You can go to paypal.me/let's have a Fifi, and lay more money on there. And if you're not tired of that, you can support our friends and folks who proudly support us, like Success Boutique, LC Designs, and Wigs of a Kind.
I will say that most of the makeup on my face was from Success. This is an LC necklace, and I am not wearing a Marissa wig, although I did reach out to her today about something that I'm going to need in April.
I didn't make the list, so I will not be joining you in April, maybe.
I think you should file a
Cats, I have
complaint with management.
extras. You have no, I don't need extra cats. I got
But you don't
enough
have
noise.
any cats, so technically they wouldn't be extras.
No, you're not doing that to me. No, you're not doing that to me. Uh, you can also text LHAVA AF. I was doing it the previous weeks, but I guess I fell off the train. But you can text LHAF to 602-730-7379, and I promise to get back on track and send you the text. I was doing good there for a while too. Dang. And if you're on Facebook, do the stars, give us more money. We just ask for all the money. No, you're not bringing cats over here. If you bring a cat over here, you must take a child.
Ooh, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Would she get to pick the child though?
No.
No.
No. Oh, come on.
How was your
Y'all
week,
are no fun.
Felicia? We've missed a week. So what have you been up
I don't even
to?
remember. Oh, so
I know me
we
neither.
missed last week's episode because we were doing um I love the title of the podcast. Um Ask smart people smart questions, or is it the other way around?
Yes, no, that's
Ask
right.
smart questions.
No,
I don't
ask
know.
smart people smart questions. We don't know why we were on this panel.
I mean, but we sound pretty cohesive. Like we know what we're talking about on the episode.
Mhm. We
So
use words. We use good words. We use the best words.
I think I kind of shocked some people because they were like, "What? That happens to you?" So if you you watch us every week, you know what's been going on. So it was just a discussion about drag culture and less about how the bills are being passed, but more on how it's affecting us. And it was a great conversation.
It really
Um,
was because we talked about like like current drag culture. We also talked about like the history of
Historic.
drag, um, and all sorts of things. I think the podcast is actually out. We'll have to post the link on our page.
Yeah, I posted it on Patreon first because
Oh, that makes
that's what I
sense.
do. That's what I do.
But yeah, so it was a great conversation. It was
M-
Felicia, myself,
Marshall
Michelle from
Shore.
Drag Story Hour, and Marshall Shore, who is um our sort of hip historian. He's our resident LGBTQ Arizona LGBTQ history buff, so which is kind of cool. But it was definitely a good conversation. So we'll get that link posted. I highly recommend listening to it. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but then I was there. So
Oh, hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Let's see. What? Definitely want to bring some of those folks onto the show.
mhm.
I worked on Saturday, and then I do this every year, y'all. So we have this big event, and I treat myself basically to a massage, and sometimes I'll add a facial because my thing is I do this silly thing where I subscribe to things just like you subscribe to go to the gym and never go. I subscribe to uh, a massage therapy at Massage Envy membership and sometimes never get a chance to go. Like I want to go, but I never get a chance to go. So anyhow, every year I schedule this appointment and never had a problem till now. So um worked the event, great event. On my way there, just about a half hour before I was supposed to be there, on my way there, I get a call from the massage envy that tells me that my massage therapist is not there. And I was like,
Which in
oh,
itself, okay, like shit happens. I get it,
yeah.
but
So then I proceed to because they're like, "Do you want to cancel the facial?" And some instances I would have, but I kind of needed some, zoning out, reclaiming my space. Um, And so I did the facial. I asked to have the facial extended to 90 minutes. No, can't get the facial extended. And I was told that somebody else was coming in after me. I stood in there afterward for about 15, 20 minutes. I didn't see nobody.
Mm.
So I could have stayed a little longer. Anyway, and then I so they said, so sorry that your person canceled. We won't uh we won't charge you your credit for it, but would you like to rebook?
Like, no shit, you won't charge me. Like, I.
I was like, oh, okay. I knew you weren't gonna. Well, I assume you weren't gonna charge me, and I could come back. Because I got a lot of credits there. Um, and so I said, okay. So I took out my calendar because I'm a paper calendar first, and then I'll put it in my phone. Um, and then so she goes, "What time?" And I said, "So sometime after work on a Friday would be nice, because you I don't like going in the middle of the week because that kind of feels whatever." Anyway, and so every Friday that I had picked, or Thursday, there's one Thursday that I picked. She said, "Well, that would be the massage therapist that you were booked with today, and she's not really reliable." Okay. So is there another massage therapist around after, like, I'm trying
they
to go
only
like
have
after four
they only
o'clock?
have one. Like,
And I'm like, so on Thursday, the same person is not going to be dependable for me. Okay. So I said, I here I am closing my little planner, like and I'm just like, hmm. She's like, but would you like to do some, like stretches? I'm like, I'm not here for the reflexology at the moment. I mean, that sounds nice, but I came for a massage. Like, where's the, and so the audacity of these people, they didn't know how much trouble they were going to get into because I don't know. They sent me a survey the night after.
I think that's funny. They totally was like the worst fucking service ever. And then here's the survey. We'd love it if you told us how we did.
All I can
Zero,
tell you
zero,
is I don't think there's a character limit on the
zero.
survey, and I went into full detail about how I was not happy and how they called me a half hour before. My facial could not be extended. I did excuse that the esthetician was very nice, so I had to make sure that I put that in there because I didn't want her to get all swallowed up into this. Um, but I was like, having somebody, um, like I would go to Elements, but I have all these credits. So what I'm thinking about is using up all the credits and then just canceling it and then saying like I'll do a la carte because we know plenty of people who are like
John's really good. Like he is. Like he's really good.
oh well that's what I mean. And we have other friends that do massage, and I would more than likely love to give my money to not some big old franchise
Right.
that isn't
Right.
respecting me. And so I sent that survey. I checked my email this morning. They haven't got back to me. So we'll see. We'll see. But that was like the big like uh-oh over the weekend. And then I had magic on Sunday night. We celebrated Mia's birthday. Um and partied it up a little bit, but it's been baby time pretty much over here.
Mm.
Baby time. She starts. We did all the things.
Lord, nope, nope.
Mm, you can
I'm good.
you can come over anytime,
Mm-mm.
baby,
Nope. I'm good. Thank
baby.
you so much, though.
Why you gotta be
So I
obeying my
did
children?
on Saturday. I did LC's last show at the Rock, which
Ooh,
I
how
told
was
people ahead of
that?
time. I said, "Look, this is going to be a shit show."
Yeah.
It,
At least you told
so,
your customers right up front.
like we knew that this was going to be like everybody did great. Everybody was entertaining and whatever. But Lord, I mean, we all know Elsie gets off on tangents when she drinks, and I couldn't hear anything that was
No.
being said. All I know is that I'd stick my head around and be like, "Oh my god, she's still talking." Like, because we'd be waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I couldn't hear
Were her
shit.
and were her and me on the same thing? Because that sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a good time. I mean, I had fun. I did Elton John because she requested it, and then I did a new number, which I think is probably one of my sexiest yet.
Is this the one I saw on
Very
Instagram earlier?
could be, yes.
And
Um,
Piss was like, I'm not sure what this is.
yep, that'd be the one. Yep, that would be the one. Yeah, I re-shared it to my story because yeah,
It
that's
was that deserving,
it was
huh?
spectacular. That was fun.
Things I can't unsee anymore.
Mhm.
Wow.
But I did last week. I actually got some interesting health news. Now, for those of you that know me, I I talk about the fact that I've been feeling kind of old and run down lately, and just kind of blah and tired. And it didn't really occur to me that the blah and tired basically coincided with getting COVID last April. And I've basically been feeling like shit since then. Um and the video probably doesn't exist anymore by the way, babe, because it was a story on Instagram or something, so it's temporary,
Oh,
so
would
it
you like me to
goes
share it
goes
to
away.
you?
Um
I
but
just watched it.
so after feeling like this chronic fatigue, like I have been dealing with chronic fatigue forever. It's been like months, and for a while I just kind of chalked it up to like all the stuff that was kind of going on with the house, stuff that we were dealing with in the family. I'm like, it's just stress, it's fine. It's it was before, like, while all the construction was happening on the drag cave and everything was like, it was just there was a lot of chaos happening. So I just interpreted it as my body just wanting to deal with it by just being tired, whatever.
Mm.
But it didn't go away. And it just kept, like, I could
Well,
literally close my eyes at any time and fall asleep. And which is not normal for me. Like, I'm tired like if I'm doing stuff, but I'm not normally like that. Like, that's abnormal for me. So I talked to my doctor the last time I was there a few months ago and checked my thyroid. And at first it came back a little sketchy, but then we checked it again and it came back fine. So my thyroid was normal. Like, we keep checking all these different things and everything kept coming up normal. My blood work is actually really good for an old dude. Like, you'd be surprised. Um,
a
but
young old
then,
dude.
I think was it last week? Maybe the week before. I don't remember. Last week. Um, she was like, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna test you for the Epstein-Barr virus. For those of you that aren't
What's
familiar,
that?
Epstein-Barr is what causes mono. I have never had mono. Never, not once. It's very common. Something like 90% of the population has Epstein-Barr, has been exposed to Epstein-Barr. It's dormant, whatever. Um,
Oh,
it's one of those viruses that you can just get it and it just sits with you without
gross.
showing any symptoms or anything. It just sits dormant. And she's like, have you ever had mono? And I'm like, no, never. Not when I was younger. Not ever. And it was like, my partner, of course, fell down a rabbit hole of Googling because that's what
I
she
do that
does,
too.
a hypochondriac. But come to find
Oh,
out that COVID, folks that have had COVID is actually, they're seeing that it's actually reactivating dormant viruses. Um,
but you never
so
had it.
it doesn't matter. It's one of those things that you could have been exposed to
Oh,
and
but your
you'll never
body fought
know
it off.
because if you don't show any symptoms, you're not going to get tested for it. So come to find out, when the test came back, sure enough, it was not currently active. It's back to being dormant, but it was active at some point.
Mm,
And like
scary.
I don't see enough people. I don't share bodily fluids with pretty much anybody, except for my partner. So it's not like I could have caught mono, and you know what I mean. So it was just
Mm.
there. At some
Oh,
point, I must have been exposed, and this when I had COVID, it triggered it. So this fucking fatigue, the fact that my back is constantly hurting, the fact that basically everything hurts, um, is essentially all because of this fucking Epstein bar. And what sucks is we now know why, but there ain't shit we can do about it. There's nothing you can do. You just kind of have to ride it out. So at least I know why, but now it's like, well, this is dumb, and now I just have to sit here and deal with it until it decides to go away. But that being said, if you feel off, go get checked for things. Like, don't let anybody, whether it's yourself or someone else, try to tell you that it's nothing. And nobody really told me it was nothing. Like, we were checking things because we, thought it was something. I was like, well, it's just stress. So I kept, I kept,
oh God.
uh,
Sorry.
eh.
I was trying to share the
So
video. Sorry.
thanks. So yeah, but for anybody that may have had COVID that has been feeling those lasting effects and things, if you haven't had any other answers, if you can't figure out why the fuck you're still feeling like shit, maybe go get tested for Epstein Barr. Because again, there's nothing you can really do about it, but at least it would give you a why and a reason. Because
Mm.
like
Yeah.
at least it's a reason, like it sucks, but at least it's a reason. So, all right,
Wow.
I know it's stupid. Like I've upped my vitamin D. I'm taking like all these different vitamins and things and trying to, because my vitamin D was slightly low, but not low enough to be like an issue. But we're bumping it up anyway to see if that helps. It's just
And
yeah.
some people have partners that tell them to stop saying what? Saying it's
I don't know what
nothing
she's
and
talking about. Just ignore her. It's fine. Um, So, for my tip tonight, I wanted to talk about something that we've talked about in the past, but it's been a hot minute, and we have new people that listen and jump on. So I wanted to talk about this again because we have uh, different things that are coming up. Southwest Love Fest is coming up in April, which Teddy Michael and I are
what
actually
is that?
presenting at. It's a conference for like the poly and sort of kink community. It's a pretty informative. But I wanted to talk again about kink on a budget
Mm.
because, like I said, I think it's worth revisiting. Um, I think that there's a certain amount of privilege that is seen in the kink world. A lot of tools uh, are expensive, very expensive, depending on what you're looking at, and that limits the folks who are able to have access to the good stuff. And there is
The
totally,
good
there is
stuff.
snobbery if you have like a knockoff version of this, or if this isn't as good as this or whatever it is, like it happens.
Ew, people do
So
that?
um so I wanted to talk about the fact that there are ways to experience and experiment with kink that won't break the bank, and it encourages you to get creative. I have a nifty little like
Oh, you have
box
show and tell?
of we have show and tell tonight. I know, it's very exciting. So one of the first things that you can look at, and okay, I'm gonna stress this first, real quick. Do not use things that you would actually use. Like, don't take things from your kitchen and use them and then put them back in your kitchen. Don't do that.
Oh,
Get separate pieces of things. Just don't do that
oops.
because ew. Don't do that. So if you look
So
at
the mashed
everyday
potatoes
things,
are good.
so kitchen utensils, massage, the massage balls that are on like the end of the sticks, like the massage things, spoons, meat shredders, there's all sorts of stuff. So let me pull up my So here's a nifty. This is one of those pasta measurer things, that tells you what your a serving size of pasta.
Mm-hmm.
This is, but it also makes a fantastic paddle. Literally
Mm,
just a paddle, but it works. It works great.
interesting.
It's solid, and it's gonna pack quite a punch. Also have
So for
I
impact
found this
play.
sucker. This is pretty cool. This is a giant whisk. This will also work for impact play. Like and all these different things have different sort of sensations. So this is pretty cool.
I don't know. If you
If
walked in
you're
the bedroom with that, I might laugh.
So if you're handy, you can turn all sorts of things into impact toys. Um,
I feel
for
like I'm watching Captain
example,
Kangaroo, but
where'd it
kink
go? Oh,
edition.
here we go. So this is a fun one. This is actually a Disneyland baseball. It's a baseball on a badminton racket handle, and this sucker is a really cool impact toy. Like this sucker really packs a wallop. But it's literally a baseball with a hole drilled through it on a badminton handle. Like that's
Wait,
literally
so
what this is.
did somebody make? Did you make that?
So I did not. I'm not that handy. But there is a oh my god, does it make Mickey Mouse noises? That would be spectacular. Um there's actually a store on Etsy called Beatings on a Dime, and he upcycles
Oh,
all sorts of shit from Barbies to you name it. It's pretty cool. Let me see what I got here. Okay, so
interesting.
this one I did make. This was like a breadboard, like a charcuterie board type thing.
Mm,
And I took a yoga mat and cut it up and put it on one side, and then covered the other side with leather, so you have a slightly more cushioned side, and then this side is super fun. Um, so this is like a meat pounder. This is a great heavy impact toy too. This and you can use the other side because it's got the thingies, and you got like
the tenderizer.
yeah, like this is a fantastic it's actually not that thick. I mean, it's all right, but it does
But they
pretty good.
said they.
Um, yes. But see something like this, and a lot of these things you can actually find at like the dollar store. Like you don't have to go spending a lot of money on it.
Good old
Um,
dollar. Good old dollar store. Just putting out great
this is
equipment.
like a potato masher thing that is also a fun
That's why
little.
that's why we said we don't mix Thanksgiving in the bedroom.
Mm, mm-hmm. You don't want to do that. If you like, see, these are the. This is one of those like the massage balls, that you use when you put on
I don't know.
birthday
I
thing.
haven't had a massage. Why'd you got to bring that up?
That's not a barbecue brush. Maybe that's a barbecue brush. We have a potato masher that looks like it too. Barbecue brush, whatever thing. I think we got it at the dollar store, whatever it is. But these are great. They can be used for sensory. Where's the other
It
one?
almost looks like the Mickey Mouse thing.
A little bit. They're a little bit different though, because they're rubber, so they're gonna feel a little bit
Oh,
different. They're more bouncy. So these can be used. These can be used for like a sensory kind of massage. They can also be used as kind of nice butt bruisers, if you do it right.
I feel
They're
like I want to play the
multi-purpose.
person like a xylophone.
You see, you can do that too. Now, for things like sensory, which is just like different sensations and stuff, you can use things like a sponge.
That matches your outfit.
Oh, thank you. Like this has a completely different sort of
Wait,
sensation.
wait. I have questions.
Yes,
What would you use the sponge for?
sensory. So if you are, you have impact and you have sensory. So the
Ass
impact is when
bongos.
you're like,
Yes.
impact. Sensory is more like sensory can be super fun if you blindfold your partner and kind of like take away one of the senses, because then you can really kind of experiment with different sensations, different things that feel differently along the body. For example, like this is just an old piece of the sponge is scratchy.
Oh.
So it's gonna feel completely different. This is an old piece of like rabbit fur. So it's super soft, and that's also really great for aftercare. And this was actually cut off an old jacket that I found at Goodwill. Like, I didn't spend any money on that. What else have I got down here?
My goodness.
A hairbrush. Depending on the hairbrush, it could
Uh-huh.
be both impact and sensory. If you find a good sturdy hairbrush that has like the flat back,
Oh. Hold on.
that can totally be used as impact. This could as well. It's a very kind of it's sharp though, so you need to be aware of that. But this also works great for sensory. So the point is that
Listen,
there's all sorts of things that perfect. See something like that. So
I
there's
obviously
all
don't
sorts of
use this. There's
things
no hair in
that you can use to have a full kink experience from sensory to impact and everything in between. Um, and you don't have to necessarily spend a ton of money. Places like Beatings on a Dime on Etsy, the upcycled stuff is fun. It's inexpensive. And like I said, if you're handy, you can do that shit yourself. We have a foam bat that's filled with rebar for a heavy, thuddy impact. Um, if you did want to splurge on something but don't have the cash all at once, you could potentially do things like use Affirm or Klarna or the PayPal Pay in 4. They'll spread the payments out either biweekly or monthly.
Oh.
And that is actually a way, if there's like, say there's a flogger or something that you were looking at that you're like, oh my God, I want this flogger. You saw it online. You're like, this is like, it's exactly what you wanted, but it's, you don't have the cash on hand. And Lord knows, do I get that. If you don't have the cash on hand, but you can do like the $20 a month or $20 every 2 weeks or whatever, you could go that route, and that still won't
Just
necessarily
make sure
break
the
the
money is
bank,
in your accounts because
right?
they get aggressive.
But if you wanted to be able, I don't, not really. There's been a couple times, and they're like, "Hey, you need to," I'm like, "Oh, let me just transfer this over," but they don't really like. I haven't really had any issues. Um, but it's a good way if you want, if you saw something that you did want to splurge on, you could do it that way, and then you don't have to worry about having a huge chunk of money at the ready at that exact moment. Because I know there's some things that you sometimes you're looking online, especially Etsy. Some of the Etsy sellers have some gorgeous things. Like, oh my God, some of the stuff is fantastic.
I
um
have been looking at like underwear.
mm,
Um yeah, and they have some like I want to say lingerie, but whatever for all types of people on Etsy. So I encourage that because there are people like making uh, clothing for different size people, for different people with different anatomy. Um, I and some of it seems pretty legit. Some of the stuff that I've gotten has been very
I I've had very good luck with getting things on Etsy. Couple
mhm.
more fun things real quick. So these are actually doggy chew toys, but they're like monkey fists. So these can be used as either
They're like
impact
what?
or sensory. Monkey
Monkey
fist. It's a type of
fist?
knot
Oh,
because they're made out of paracord. So these are durable. You can use them as like little
oh,
massagey
that looks
poundy
like it would.
things. They will pack a little bit of a punch if you want to use them for impact. And then these, I really like these. These we got at the dollar store because you can find these are meat shredders, right? The meat claws.
Oh,
So
pulled pork.
exactly. And like Amazon has them for I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks. These literally at the dollar store, I think they were like $1.99. And these are awesome for like
I
for
got my own.
sensory, like they're great. They have like they feel absolutely amazing. Like they really do. Like they're like and you can use them harder, you can use them softer, you can like there's all sorts of cool stuff that you can do with these. But these are a favorite and these I highly recommend.
Hannah
A
and
couple of
Ben are writing a
tips.
list. Hannah and Ben are writing a list.
Y'all just I got you. The metal ones could break skin very easily. I would not recommend
Yeah, be
using the metal
careful.
ones. Hmm.
Just scratch
Um,
all the spots on my back.
so a couple of tips. You would think that these would be like
Not with
common
metal
sense,
ones.
but um, don't keep your toys in the car. Doesn't matter what kind of toys.
But it's
Don't keep your
winter.
floggers in the
But
car.
it's
Don't keep
winter.
no. Don't keep them in the car. Um, if you yeah, just don't. Not in winter, not in summer, especially in Arizona. Don't do it. Um, and if you are experimenting and you get, a cheap flogger or you get, a cheap paddle or a cheap crop or whatever from, Fascinations or Castle or wherever, remember that they are, in fact, cheap. They're usually made out of, fake leather, which after a while that's going to start to disintegrate. It'll start shredding and start shedding pieces, especially on like the little floggers and stuff. They're not great. They're not made well usually, so handles can come off. So you need to be very careful if you are trying to use um,
I always feel like that
cheaply
stuff is like
made.
one-time use.
Right. Well, you have to be very careful if you're, you're using um, you know, cheaper, not real leather, poorly made toys for any sort of impact because you have to be careful if you go flying, flinging a flogger around and the thing flies off, you could hurt somebody. If your, pieces could come off a bit. So just be very mindful about using those for any sort of heavy play. They could be used for more of a like a sensory things. If you get like the cheaper floggers, you can be used for like light spanking and things. You just want to be careful that you are using them appropriately. But if you ever decide that you want to splurge on a good, well-made flogger, whether whether it's leather, whether it's made out of paracord, whether it's made out of rubber. If you have a good flogger, if you take care of it, it will literally last you for years. And yes, there are some things that you want to be careful about sharing, um, depending on where you're using things. Always remember to clean and sterilize as best you can. Leather can be a little bit tricky, but if you know folks that are in the leather community, they can actually help you with being able to clean and condition things like floggers,
Mm.
paddles, and whatnot. But people enjoy different things in different areas. So if you are using something in a do we say more sensitive area that you could end up with some sort of bodily fluids, you want to make sure that you clean it before you use it on someone else unless you are like fluid bonded, because you could potentially spread STIs and different things which you don't want to do. So just keep that in mind as well. But hopefully there was some good ideas. Hopefully this kind of piqued some interest. And you really don't have to you really don't have to break the bank to be able to enjoy kink, or you don't have to, eh, you you don't have to break the bank. I think most of the things that I pulled up were things that you either have around the house, things you can find at the dollar store, um, things you could make yourself if you wanted to, pieces you could find, different pieces at like Goodwill and put things together. Like it doesn't it doesn't have to be expensive to be enjoyable. And, in fact, if you're still sort of experimenting, if you're still fairly new, then there's really no reason to spend a whole ton of money on stuff if you don't know you're going to like it. So get some cheaper things, play with the different types of impact, and see if it's something that you even like. If not, then you didn't spend, $150 on a flogger.
So also reiterating that we don't take things from the kitchen and reuse or
No.
repurpose. Buy new, or either for your, yeah, buy new.
Yeah, don't
I don't want to do either or, because that
mm-mm,
uh,
mm-mm,
uh,
no.
yikes.
Oh yeah.
Um
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. If you have friends that you trust and you want to be like, I don't know how this would work, or show me something like this, like, you can do that. So yeah,
We'll have to put that on
I felt like it would be
Patreon.
a good. I just felt like talking about this every once in a while is a good thing because of the amount of privilege and sometimes classism that pops up in the kink world and things. So, you know,
Is that
um,
never mind. I felt like asking, but I feel like it does happen. I feel
mm,
like people go, well, I don't do that. Like, so it's like a, you know what I'm saying? Like,
like kink shaming.
yeah, like it's, oh, I don't do that. Mm,
Oh,
you know what I
totally.
mean?
That's
I feel like that happens so often. Like, people are like, oh my God, why? I'm like, but why not? That's the problem. Speaking of why not, uh,
mm.
let's move into current events and talk about some of the stupid bullshit that's going on. So after constantly denying that he's ever done drag, we all seen the picture. We all
Deny, 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 deny.
George Santos, he's back. Finally admitted that he was young and having fun. But I think he also said that he wasn't in drag though. He was young and having fun. That was the part where he was like, "No, I wasn't in drag. I was young and having fun."
Right.
And um
In drag, motherfucker. You were in drag. Everybody seen the pictures? The Brazilian drag queens have been like, here's the videos. Like, it's unmistakable.
they're like, "No, no, no. We have all the receipts."
It's like all the other fucking Republicans that are, here's video of you saying this. Oh, no, no, I didn't say that.
It's
No,
like he's saying
literally
like,
video. There's video of you saying this. Oh, no, but I didn't though.
but somehow he's got some kind of card or something, because the Republicans still won't get rid of him because he's lied. He has a false resume. He has this, that, and the other. He's been a drag queen, and apparently it's okay for him to be in drag, but not me. So questions,
They don't
concerns.
want to lose the majority. If they get rid of him, they run the risk of having a Democrat in his place. And
They're
then
depending on the homosexuals.
mm. So, German authorities have arrested a woman accused of murdering her doppelganger, who she found online, in order to fake her own death. Never thought about that. Find a doppelganger, hire the doppelganger, kill the doppelganger, pass
Why
it
not
off
have
as
the
you.
doppelganger, have them go to work for you?
Right.
I mean,
Like,
think
I
of something
feel, but
smart.
then you'd have to pay them.
We would share like our paycheck.
No, I don't want to fucking do that. Fuck that.
Or you go get another job while they're working, you know?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So and other crazy news, and so downright radical. The FBI completed its search of Joe Biden's. Is it Reboheath? Did I say it
Rehoboth.
right? Rehoboth.
Rehoboth.
Uh, uh, Great. I took English in America. It failed me. And finding no classified documents. Imagine that. Unlike other searches in Florida and somewhat relatable areas, none of the searches on the Biden's property have required a warrant because the Bidens have been like, yeah, go in there. Yeah, yeah,
It's amazing what happens when you're cooperative.
yeah, go. Oh, he's back.
also in also
Jesus
in politics, we're
Christ.
back to George Santos because,
He
of
never
course,
died.
he has actually stepped down from the committees that he was on amid calls for his resignation. He still won't resign. He gave an interview to a right wing newscast. He said that he's learned his lesson and everything from
Oh,
now on will be above board and he's going to double check everything, which is probably a good idea. You know, you want to make sure that your grandparents are not Holocaust survivors. Make sure that you know your own name, where you went to college, important things like that. Those are good things that you want to double check. Um, because those are literally all things that he has fucking lied about.
okay. So he must have short-term memory loss
Mm.
because on Holocaust Remembrance Day,
Mm.
um, Santos, again, here he is, delivered a speech about the Holocaust on the House floor.
Because of
Hmm.
course he did. Right?
Is anybody
Mm.
seeing anything wrong with this? Is this
I
like
with the amount
something?
of I don't know. I don't understand how
You've seen a
like
movie like this. What kind of movie? Tell me what
like
this movie is. Is it Tootsie? Uh,
I think she was talking about killing the doppelganger. Um,
oh,
I feel like he's I don't understand how he's still eligible to even hold his position. I don't understand why they haven't just thrown him out.
stop it.
Like
Stop it.
I
So,
don't
you know what I'm
understand that
going
at
to do?
all.
I'm going to go apply for jobs. I'm going to lie on my resume. I've been at Harvard all this time. I now have a law degree. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply for a job and
I'm gonna
then
go for the minority thing and tell everybody I'm black.
ooh, on Black History Month?
Yeah, that's if the. I mean,
No,
then
there's
they have
somebody
to
in the
give me a
news that
job.
already did that. Don't
Oh,
get caught up in that.
damn
Rachel
it!
did that. Remember Rachel? She's
Yeah, but
like
that was
George
forever
Santos.
ago.
She's like George Santos.
Ugh.
Mm. Anyway, I think I'm gonna lie on all the things, and then I'm gonna say, you know what? Since I got this job, I didn't really mean what I said in my resume. So,
I
um,
totally forgot. I actually didn't go to Harvard, and I
yeah,
totally forgot that I wasn't actually black. Sorry.
yeah, and I totally don't think that I've ever had a 15-year career as a drag performer ever, and I don't know how you found these pictures.
Not
So.
me. It's not me. I was just young and having fun. Okay, but you were 44 years old. Shh. I was young at heart. I was young at heart and having fun.
Oh my gosh. And he was so calm.
I
That's the
don't.
part.
He's calm about everything. He's a pathological liar, and
Yeah.
because everything he said with an absolute straight face. When he was talking about like his grandparents being sort of like Holocaust survivors, he's like, yeah, when they came over, like all the records and stuff were changed because they had to change their name, blah blah blah. I'm like, they did not change their name from like I don't know Baumgartner to Santos. Like that's not a thing. Not a fucking thing.
If anything, when
Like
immigrants were coming over, they changed their names to sometimes they changed their names to like Smith to keep it simple.
right.
But
They didn't change like one ethnic name to another ethnic name. That's
they didn't
not how
go
that
they didn't go,
goes.
"Oh, I don't like this name. Santos sounds like a good last name."
The fuck is stupid. So fucking stupid.
Wow.
That doesn't make any sense.
Somebody answer the phone. Oh my
So
God, you
happy
hear
Black
this?
History Month.
Yay! So, I saw this on Twitter. I think it's very wonderful that we start by celebrating a significant voice in Black history who was born on March 1st. Whoa, February 1st, 1926. And I can never say his name, so I'm not going to butcher it. But we
James
know,
Mercer Langston Hughes.
yes, I messed it up. Don't
Is it the
ask why.
James? The James is it's the
Yeah,
James, isn't
that's what
it?
it is
Yeah.
because it's not Santos. Anyway, but you know him better as Langston Hughes. He has been named one of the central figures in the Harlem Renaissance, a flourishing time. Wow, I can't speak today at all. A flourishing time of Black intellect. Wow, I didn't even spell that right.
No, you
Intellectual
didn't.
and literary and artistic life in America. He wrote novels, short stories, plays, and what he's most known for is his poetry.
Mhm.
He's also known for dabbling in the world of jazz and the influence it had on his writing, as well as he influenced other jazz
Mhm.
artists. Um,
Absolutely.
and yeah,
And what's kind of cool also is that Barbie has honored the first Black woman pilot, Bessie Coleman, with a commemorative doll, which is kind of cool. At the age of 29, Coleman enrolled in a flight school and received her international pilot's license on June 15th, 1921. That was pretty much unheard of. Like, not a
first of all,
thing.
she was a woman, and
Right.
secondly, she was black. So,
Right.
hello, how she
She's
did that?
been an inspiring example of courage and determination since then. And the Barbie Inspiring Woman series is going to celebrate amazing woman role models throughout history. And Coleman is the latest one to join the ranks, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So being black is new, and I knew it from day one, I guess.
Correct.
But archaeologists have discovered the oldest and most complete Egyptian mummy, and I think the keyword that I just left out is a non-royal mummy.
Hmm.
And this guy has more than 22,000. How do I share the screen? I should have had this ready. Um, More than 22,000. Um,
Oh, figurines with him, right?
yeah.
I think yes. I've always been fascinated by ancient Egyptian history, ancient Greek as well, and Roman, but so this is really really interesting. It's absolutely
Hmm.
fascinating. Because it was always generally believed that you had to either be um royal or high ranking to be properly
Correct.
mummified. Um,
Hmm.
they often did the sort of the general embalming and things like that for the lower class citizens. But the one thing that they didn't do for the lower class citizens that they did for royalty and the higher class citizens was they would actually remove their brain.
Mm.
So if the brain was missing, or when they did the CT scan on the mummy, um, if uh, if they could tell that the brain had been pulled out, if they could tell that the brain was missing, that would give them an idea of where this mummy, this individual would have sat, basically in terms of status. But this is like super super cool. The Disney Plus has the National Geographic channel, and I watched I've all the things on it, like the massive necropolis, um like mummies that are 4,000 years older
Hmm.
than like what they thought was the oldest mummy. Like it if you think about it, so the ancient Egyptian um civilization, was so old that there were archaeologists in ancient Egypt.
Yes.
Like that is how old. Like the ancient Egypt had like that's like
I like to point
yeah.
out that this is in Africa because I think that sometimes people forget that Egypt is in Africa.
Oh, you mean Africa's not a country?
Whew, my goodness. So that's really exciting. You can find out more by going to their Instagram. I don't know how to say his name either, but it was very
Oh,
exciting to read this.
it's
Zahi?
Zahi Hawass.
Yeah.
He's like one of the leading archaeologists in Egypt. Like he's done a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
So they're still digging up stuff that I was like, oh, I thought we was done. He was,
No.
but
There's
you
so
read
much
his
that
stuff.
hasn't there's so much that hasn't, like, we've only tipped the surface as far as um the ancient Egyptian civilizations. Like
Absolutely.
we barely tipped the surface, but it's fascinating. In not so awesome news, the video of Tyree Nichols' murder at the hands of the cops was released. It's almost an hour long, and it is
It's
rough.
hard to watch. Very
Um, there are a lot
hard
of people
to
that
watch.
won't watch it. They can't watch it, and I don't blame them. Like that's not something like
I will say that if you're listening or watching, trigger warning.
yeah,
If you
it's
do not handle uh, severe incidents, uh,
police brutality.
you, yeah,
Yeah.
you won't be able to handle this.
No,
Uh,
it's very hard to watch, and I don't. People are like, well, why'd they release it? I understand why they released it. Like it's accountability, it's transparency. It's still some sketchy shit, but uh, the EMTs that were at the scene have been fired. I personally think they should be charged as accessories. But whatever.
mhm.
The five black officers that were involved were fired. You think they would have been fired if they were white? Because history says no. In
Mm.
fact, there were two other officers, one white and one that is still unidentified. And the one that was white was put on leave. He wasn't fired; he
Oh,
was put on leave.
oh. Think about it.
Right. The five black officers are due to be arraigned and indicted on 7 counts each later this month, including second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping with bodily harm, aggravated kidnapping in possession of a deadly weapon, official misconduct, and official oppression. Several of the involved cops had gotten written reprimands and short suspensions for violating department policies in the past. Um, but it's fine. We just let them be cops anyway.
So, um, I know that
And it's really just black on black crime. So,
I know that Whoopi Goldberg is under a lot of I shared the interview with some folks, but um because I think that there's a huge well, we've been talking about this for years. A huge missed opportunity here that all police forces are missing is that a training could be longer and more intense, more in what's the word? More rigorous. Rigorous? Is that sounds right
mhm.
to me? Where you're not just like you get the psychology of a person where you know how to handle different situations because teachers go through some rigorous training and still need rigorous training from time to time. So um a big discussion was that what you brought up is that is this okay that if you watch the video, is this okay that the white officer stayed on the force and didn't get fired? Um, is this okay that forget that they're black or white, that we still have police brutality happening at a high rate and it's resulting in death. Um, is it okay to let people think that the feel unsafe, let people feel like they're unsafe to call the police? um, because um, studies show that when the police are feared, even when they're in like domestic violence incidents, they will not call the police because they fear that they're the ones that's going to get shot or hurt.
That's already, I
Um,
mean, because that's happened. That's already happened. Like, that's, people
yes,
get called out for either a mental health crisis or domestic dispute, and people end up killed. People end up dead, not because of whatever, because of the fucking cops. Um,
and the
and
city, this people took over the freeway
mhm,
uh, this week, protesting,
yep.
and it turns it, when you see people who in essence don't deserve it getting hurt and dying, and it's not like just like one or two incidents and we're all outraged, it's like one or two
Constant,
incidents constantly.
right?
So I don't want us to go numb from this. I want us to kind of fold in and say, what the fuck are we doing?
Well, when we say, when people talk about the police brutality and all the deaths at the hands of cops, and then they say ACAB, and all cops are bastards, and people are like, "Well, my brother's a cop, so I can't agree with that." Here's what we mean when we say ACAB. Okay, so your brother's a cop. Great. I'm assuming then that your brother has stood up and publicly said that there needs to be change and reform within the police department. I'm assuming that your brother then has ratted out, has called out, has um, put on blast the cops that he knows are doing shitty, shady things, like using excessive force and using all these things. I'm assuming that your brother is doing all of that, right? Oh no, 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 no. He likes his job. Oh, so his job is more important than making sure that the people who are supposed to protect us, the citizens, are doing their job the right way.
Mhm.
If your brother, uncle, father, sister, mother, grandmother, I don't give a fuck. If your family member is in law enforcement and is unwilling to stand up and publicly denounce what is going on and publicly call for change and reform at the risk of losing their job, then it still stands. All cops are bastards. Sorry, not sorry. That's how that
Mhm.
goes. If you are unwilling to stand up and acknowledge that this is an issue and risk losing your job because you stood up for the right thing, then you're no better than them, because you're turning a blind eye and you're not willing to do anything about it because you're so afraid of losing your job. That's too bad. Even though these people have lost their lives, but whatever, it's fine.
They're just people.
Mm,
They're people like you and me
mm-hmm.
that don't care about other people? Huh?
Pretty much. Yep.
Ah, wow. Utah is the first state to ban gender affirming care for minors in 2023. The state is currently being sued by two civil rights groups. The ban includes gender affirming surgeries on minors, which
Which
doesn't
doesn't really happen.
ever happen.
Not really a
God,
thing.
yeah. But also hormone blockers. Wow. They're
Yep.
really just
Which is
finding
interesting to
everything.
me because the University of Utah has a big trans department, like their trans healthcare department. That's where I got my top surgery. That's where I've sent everybody to
Oh,
go get their fucking top
really?
surgeries. Like, the University of Utah has a fantastic trans healthcare department, but it'll be interesting.
Hopefully they
The
don't shut that
FDA
down.
The FDA has proposed easing restrictions on blood donations from bisexual and gay men. Currently, bisexual and gay men are allowed to donate if they haven't had sex with another man for 3 months.
Well, count me out.
I'd be fine. Under the new guidelines, if you're in a monogamous relationship, you'd be able to donate without issue. If you have a
Oh,
new partner or multiple partners, you'll be asked about your sexual activity within the last 3 months. Men who are on oral prep and sex workers will have a 3-month deferral. And people with
whoa, this is a
HIV
lot
are
of
still going to
back
be
and
unable
forth.
to donate, regardless of what their viral load is. Uh, Side note, being on prep has zero effect on donated blood being usable. Like, literally nothing. No effect. Even medical professionals are suggesting donors don't disclose that they're on prep if they want to be able to donate usable blood, because it's stupid. Like, it's legitimately stupid. Even my doctor was like, I don't understand why they asked that. All it does is stigmatize, you're on prep, so obviously you must be having multiple partners or, doing
But
sex work or whatever.
that's
I, I've been
okay.
taking prep now for I don't know how long, and I can't tell you the last time I had sex with a man. Like, just in any man, trans, cis, whatever. I can't. It's been a hot minute. So, but I still keep taking my prep. But because of that, I would technically still be told that I'm ineligible to donate, which would be unfortunate because I'm a universal donor.
Huh.
So I'm not saying that not everything necessarily needs to be disclosed if you're donating blood, but I'm also not saying that. Just saying.
Yikes.
Hmm.
Huh. Things that are being said though in the wrong way and context. In 2022, there were 315 anti-LGBTQ plus bills proposed around the country. Of those 315, only 29 were actually passed. That's scary that 29 were passed, but how many do you know of?
Hmm.
Um, but it's nice to know that most of them are ending up in the trash. So there is hope. Also, AZ Typo and 1 in 10, I saw that they met with Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs. And she kind of just laid down for them that she did not feel like these should be bills that she would
Yeah,
support.
she'll veto all the ones that come across her
And
desk.
so,
It's,
also, what I'm hearing is we're just basically wasting tax dollars. And
mm, yep.
uh, but most of these bills are focused on school sports or gender affirming medical care for minors. And so also we're taking LGBTQ plus books out of the libraries,
Mhm.
taking LGBTQ plus this, that. I don't understand. Because if a parent really wants a book, they will buy it. If
It's
a
just stupid.
so even um like kids have debit cards, they can buy
Right.
it.
Right. So, real quick, Ben said that they had a falling out with their dad, who is in law enforcement, over the whole ACAB thing, and didn't seem to understand that his privilege and power was an issue. And it's unfortunate that 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 had to happen. And hopefully, your dad will at some point recognize and acknowledge that this is an actual thing, that
Mm,
by not standing up and by not using your privilege for good, you're complacent. And that goes for pretty much everybody that doesn't actually stand up and do anything when push comes to shove.
bloop.
Speaking of which, Pope Francis has come out and said that homosexuality is a sin, but not a crime, and that the Catholic Church should actually help fight against the anti-LGBTQ laws, if you believe that shit.
I'm confused.
It's a sin, but it's not a crime. So
Okay.
they don't like you being gay, but it's not illegal. So don't make it like there shouldn't be laws against it. It's just a sin. So if the sinners want to sin, then just let the sinners sin. That's the end of the world,
Yes.
right?
Anyway, the biggest
Speaking of
sinner of
which,
them all. Is this the governor of Florida?
mm-hmm,
DeSantis? DeSantis?
mm-hmm,
DeSantos? Oh,
DeSantis.
is he a Santos? I'm just kidding. Does he know him? Um,
Probably.
the governor of Florida has blocked the teaching of an AP African American course. What it was called in my day was African American Studies. But
Well, that's what this is, but
uh,
it's the AP course. It's college, so
are you saying that I didn't take the AP course?
no,
Anyway,
I'm
I
just
defer
saying.
and going back to this conversation. Democratic governors from Illinois and California are pushing back, asking the College Board to not feed into this mediocrity. Um, so I saw folks on Twitter that were like, well, if we're not going to use it in the classrooms, can you send copies to us? And so there were people that were like, here's the link, you can purchase it, and you can, because there, I will say that there's an undercurrent that's happening, and it's been happening for years. District schools are losing their folks because of things like this. And when parents feel like there's no like free thinking, basically, um, that's happening, then they're like, okay, well, come back here. We'll join a co-op and we'll teach you the AP course
And
ourselves.
that's the thing is that they can go ahead and block all this shit, but it's not going to stop it from happening. People are still like the books that are banning still exist, the course still exists, all the material still exists, and it'll get out there because people aren't
The
stupid.
history still exists.
History is
I
still a
l-
thing. Sorry,
I
like
learned in the pandemic that I can find history, and it's like a rabbit hole. Goodness
mm-hmm.
gracious. But
I
yeah, we
know.
gotta
It's
educate ourselves.
yep.
If you
And
come
there's
across,
always ways to do it. Like we don't you can go ahead and ban whatever the fuck you want. People are still going to get a hold of whatever it is cuz that's how we work.
goodness gracious, when I was reading Indian in the Cupboard, I found the movie before I mean, we could do anything we set our minds to.
So I'm not
So,
gonna lie. I remember my fifth grade teacher read the whole trilogy of Indian in the Cupboard to us,
uh-huh.
like in fifth grade, and I loved the books. I didn't realize, of course,
I do. I do love
the
the books.
problematic pieces of things, but
Yes.
it was at the time they were really good books. I actually really enjoyed them. I didn't care for the movie as much because I always liked the books better, but I loved the books. I thought the books were great, but and then you
But I'm
realize
saying,
you read them as an adult and you're like, ew.
yeah.
But
But I'm
it's
saying
what it
there's
is.
ways that we all
Right.
could learn
There's
from this.
right. You can get a
So,
hold of anything.
whatever.
What have we got coming up in terms of gigs? I've fairly light on my schedule these days, which I'm not mad about. I have our usual things coming up,
Oh,
but
I need to add
I'm
mine. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I need to fill in here.
oh,
Uh,
keep me
February
busy.
11th, we will be at Sex Trivia Night at Gracie's Tax Bar. So join us there at 8 o'clock. Next on my calendar, the 19th or the I'll update y'all. But
Oh,
it's later in the month. Yes.
February 19th. Um, I'm
Yeah.
actually part of the Royal. I can never remember what the
Oh.
fuck they call it. The Royal Court something something some. I don't know what the fuck it is. But it's like the gay day at the Renaissance Fair. So I'm actually like officially a part of that. So I'll be there in
Oh,
drag, which is very strange for
wonderful.
me. It's very strange for me. And then on March 2nd, I'm doing a drag story hour bingo at the Drink Me Tea Room in Tempe. I'm very excited about that. I've heard good things about it. Um, and then March 10th, I'm super excited about this. I had the pleasure and the privilege to be co-producing a drag and burlesque show at the Wild Wild West Con, which is the steampunk convention in Tucson. And I think that we've managed to round up some amazing entertainers. This is like one of my favorite things to do, and I'm stoked that I actually get to perform at it. But we'll have there's burlesque, there's drag, Justin Sider is performing. It's gonna be really, really, really cool. So I'm super excited about that. And then just for shits and giggles, I found out yesterday officially that I have been accepted again to Austin International Drag Festival, which I'm excited about because last year I was supposed to go and I got COVID and I wasn't able to, which the folks that know how I feel about AIDF would have known how absolutely devastating that would have been for me. Like I was absolutely heartbroken when I got COVID and got sick and wasn't able to go. Like that really, really bugged me. So I'm really happy that I'm able to go back this year. Now I just have to figure out what the fuck I'm bringing. So if anybody has any really good ideas for some really good numbers, help, please and thank you.
So I remembered some things.
Oh, good.
So on February 19th, I'll be at Cobalt. I believe it's called Pop Art Drag.
Oh, I saw the flyer for that. I think that's right.
Or Art Pop Drag. Either way. It's on February 19th. And then on February 26th, I'll be at the Rock for the Supernova pageant. Then I'll run down the street and be at Stacy's for Magic.
Which the
And
Supernova is no longer US of A.
no, it's the Ultimate Star. Ultimate Star?
Something like that. Ultimate Rising Star, I think.
Yeah, it's changing.
Something like that.
Yes. There was another one. It's on the 25th. What was it? It's Drag Story Hour, I believe, at Brickyard Coffee. I'll confirm. All this happened like in the last like couple of days.
I know.
So,
I got the link for like the sign up for the the Black History Month story hour, and I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and let someone else do this one.
oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the
yeah, I was like, oh, this is available.
right, because I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm not gonna be that guy. Watch me do a fucking Black History Month drag story. No, thank you. Like I that would be like having an all-white show on Juneteenth, but then putting a post up saying, "Oh my god, this is such an important day." Not that anybody would ever do that, ever.
Not here in this town.
Mm-mm.
So, that is pretty much all I can think of at the moment. Those happened in like the last couple days.
Yeah, that's all I've got right now. So,
that is pretty busy for me. And then we have upcoming guests. We have a comedian, Kevin Carrier, 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 coming on the show, and then we have Holly Shoemaker.
oh, she's this month. For some reason, I thought she was March, but Desiree is March.
Yes. And then we have Desiree in March, Miss Phoenix Pride on March 8th, and we have more coming down the pipe. Just need to confirm dates. I don't know why it's so hard for just say yes.
People have to read their messages first.
I know. But all in all, we've made it to the end. And just 20 minutes over, and you're still here, which is wonderful. Thank you for joining our Wednesday night conversation, your Wednesday night conversation. It's not mine. I don't have a Wednesday night conversation. It's a conversation with you. It's your conversation. Thank you for all of you who watch live and those that watch on the replay. Be sure to go and listen to the Quality Arizona podcast, as well as
We'll
we like
post that link.
yes, as well as we love that you keep downloading our episodes. We don't know why, but you keep listening to us and sharing us. So keep doing that for whatever reason you're doing
I'm
it
fine
for.
with being shared.
Oh, yes, as long as my hair doesn't get messed up. Um,
I don't have to worry so much about that. Sadly.
oh my God, on that note, we'll see you next week for your Wednesday night conversation.
Good night.
oh my God.